So, I have been noticing that there are some beautiful women who want marriage and they want men to take them seriously. And one of the main things that I have been trying to drive home as soon as I noticed it was that we haven't really been helping women regulate their emotions and how to experience their emotions in a healthy way. We've been kind of taking the passive road in certain circles and conversations where we just kind of tell women to suppress your emotions, don't show them. And I think that's kind of performative, and I think that places women in their masculine energy to kind of be stoic, to be unbothered. And yes, in certain instances, we should be unbothered. I give that to you. We should be unbothered in certain circumstances, but we haven't really displayed or really had an honest discussion about which situations we should be unbothered and which situations require us to show our emotions, but in a healthy way. And I think that handicaps women. As someone who works with women, I can assure you, not having a healthy way to display your emotions, it puts you at a disadvantage when it comes to relationships. It really zaps your power. We've been talking about power that women have for the last 3 weeks now. And so now we're on emotional power. We talked about calm power, which is the power from our soul, and coming to grips with who we are as women individually. Then we talked about our mind power, the power over our mind, our mindset. And then we talked about our heart. Where's our heart? But today we're going to talk about emotional power. This is huge because this can determine how much of an influence we really are. So, we're going to talk about emotional power. This won't be boring because I have something special that I've been working on, and God put it on my heart to do. And I said I was going to leave this in the dust, but um, God doesn't want to hear your plans. He wants you to do what He tells you to do. And so I had to throw this together, not throw it together, but kind of rush it to put out. I didn't want to put, I could have released it last week, but I wasn't ready. I wanted to fine tune it and make it ready for the market, but I thought that there were a lot of women that could benefit from this, even the church girlies. That we have fixed a lot of things, but then there's some things that we need to fix. And I said, you know what? I'm going to add this, and I think this is going to bless some people's hearts. And I said I wasn't going to double back and do this kind of content, but never tell God your plans. Never ever do that. So anyway, we're going to get started in just a few seconds. Let's go. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the Inner Beauty TV. I am your host, Nicole Michelle, founder and feminine mentor for the Inner Beauty movement. We're all about helping women reconnect with their power, their core, their essence, while simplifying the pathway to marriage. I would love to be your mentor in love, like Naomi guided Ruth. And if that sounds like something you'd be interested in, definitely give us a like, a follow, a subscribe. We'd love to have you over here if you're ready for transformation. I consider us the hospital, not the clinic, and not hospital like everybody's broken, but hospital in that we are not about quick solutions, we are about transformations. And so if you're ready for a transformation, not just a quick fix, this is the place to be. And this was going to be a deep one. And when I tell you that it must be something in today's conversation, that I have run into every technical obstacle I could possibly run into in the past 20 minutes. And when I tell you, I was like, no, I'm not going to be late today. I am going to show up on time And I am going to do this right. And every technical problem happened when I say I had some good B roll today, some good images, some good videos to show you all to illustrate what I'm talking about. When I tell you they were good, I was like, okay, I see what this is. This is spiritual warfare, but that's okay though, because we're not going to get upset. We're just going to do what we have to do. Y'all just have to use your imagination, child. We're going to make it work. And then I'm over here on my other platforms trying to, and it's just every type of obstacle, you name it, it's in the way. And I said, you know what? We're still going to do it because this is way too powerful for me not to really be on my A game today. We're talking about emotions, and emotions is usually where the enemy attacks women. And we have created a culture where we allow women to just crash out and we just explain it away, and we don't kind of help women develop strength, develop their emotional muscles to be able to experience their emotions without going to the abyss and crashing out and fighting and if a woman does that, we excuse it and like that's okay, let her be, instead of showing her a healthy way of showing her emotions. And so when we try to have the discussion about how to show our emotions, display our emotions, experience our emotions in a healthy way, we're told that we're being performative. But I want to submit to you that being stoic and being unbothered is performative, and I'm going to show you why. Shout out to Phineas, my brother, emotional power support tax for the tip jar. Stay warm. Thank you so much for the $10 super chat. I appreciate that. Um, Shout out to everybody in the storms and stuff like that. Ohio, we built for the snow, and so we were just kind of watching everybody crash out about the snow. I'm like, Ohio's built for this. I don't think our governor did a state of emergency. I mean, it wasn't. It's like, oh, what's a good 10 to 12 inches? Oh, that's nothing. So, we're just chilling right now. I think the kids got out of school or something like that. But as far as the rest of the state is concerned, it's business as usual. So, that's all that is. But shout out to everybody joining me on the live and in the rebroadcast. I have some special announcement I want to go into later, but not right now. I really want to get into this because I think somebody it needs to hear what I'm getting ready to say. Because every time I know it's something somebody needs to hear, because every time I gear up to do something that I know somebody needs to hear, guess what? I have every technical issue under the sun. Oh, I'm telling you right now. I'm telling you right now. I'm telling you right now. So those of you that pray, go ahead and pray that this live stream reaches the women that need to hear it. Even the fellas that are listening, maybe one of you or some of you, your hearts will be touched by what I'm getting ready to say. And I'm on my other platforms. It's acting crazy, y'all. It's acting crazy. It's acting crazy. But anyway, that's okay. Those that need to hear it are going to hear it, because we're going down in a rabbit hole today, and yeah, it's a lot going on. So what I mean by emotional power is that women have the power to, it's our influence starts with how we regulate our emotions. One of the safest things that is taught out here in the culture is that women should be unbothered. They should, not show their emotions. I think that puts us in our masculine energy. Men don't have a problem with women's emotions. They have a problem with us not regulating them in a healthy way, us crashing out. That is the quickest way to lose a ring, is crashing out every single time you get upset and then rationalizing it away by, that's just how I feel. I was frustrated. I'm gonna keep it 100. I'm gonna keep it real. You've heard it all. I understand. I totally get it. But when we're talking about marriage and we're talking about spending the rest of our lives with someone, we want to display that we're not going to get bent out of shape every time something doesn't go our way. And this is one of those things that I was challenged with before. And it's kind of weird that right before this live, when I tell you everything went wrong that could possibly go wrong, it did. And I was like, I see what the enemy's trying to do. He's trying to get me to crash out so I could get on this live upset, but I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to give the enemy, I'm not going to give him that much power. I'm going to keep my power, because God has not given us the spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. Emotional power is one of the most misunderstood parts of femininity, because emotions are not the problem. All right. Shout out to all the ladies in the chat. Put in where you chatting from. I want to know, are you in a cold place? Like right now, the snow is just basically blowing all over as if we have a blizzard because the wind is high. So now we have a snowy day. This not snowing, but it's sun out and snow is just blowing. It's just blowing for no reason. Unled emotions, like emotions that we don't take control of, that is actually where we lose our power. A woman's emotions are actually powerful when she understands them and handles them wisely. It's unhealed emotions that leak our power. It's unhealed emotions on display that cause people, especially men, to kind of fall back from us. And this is one of those topics that nobody wants to talk about. Um, and we talk about the trauma, the pain, the distrust, the disloyalty, the abuse, all of those things, but we don't talk about how we handle it and how we actually lose our power, our footing as women by how we display our frustration, anger, all of those things. This is a power that if we're regulated, this is actually what makes men respect us. This is actually what makes men say, I could live the rest of my life with this woman. All right. This is called emotional mastery or nervous system maturity. A lot of people talk about nervous system maturity, but we really don't talk about how to regulate our emotions, which actually regulates the nervous system. Right? There is no soft life without regulating your emotions. It's not going to happen. Because every time you try to relax, guess what? Something's going to happen to knock you out of whack. You're going to get upset. Your nervous system's going to be upset. And guess what? All of that for nothing. There is no soft life without emotional regulation. Calm power under pressure. We talked about calm power. Go watch that video, right? Um, so let me free you from that lie. Emotions don't make a woman weak. Being unbothered, being stoic, all of those things are it's a defense mechanism to take back your power in the moments that you feel powerless, you feel upset, you feel taken advantage of, you feel frustrated. I get it, but it actually takes our power. Unmanaged emotions make a woman unsafe. It really does. It escalates every situation. And if you're not with a regulated man who has a regulated temperament, guess what? Now the situation is escalated higher. Now I'm not explaining away people's misbehavior. I'm saying our part in it. Right? We don't in this space, we don't blame everything on men. We take accountability. We're queens. We're not little girls over here. So we take responsibility of how we show up over here. Right? That's why we have so much power and so much leverage. And we don't have to finesse because we already know our power going in. I'm going to hook you ladies up. Uh, A woman's emotions are one of her greatest gifts when she understands them, but when she doesn't, her emotions are going to leak power through spiraling, overreacting, punishing, shutting down, testing men, and confusing intuition with anxiety and crashing out. So, emotional power is the ability to fully feel without being ruled by our feelings. Social media and the culture is all about allowing women to a place where they can express their emotions. As hazardous as they are, just let it all hang out. But it doesn't teach them how to regulate that. And regulate does not mean suppress. It does not mean explain away. It does not mean make excuses for people that have wronged us. It just means we don't allow our feelings to dictate how we show up. Crashing out is basically saying, I'm just going to let my emotions run this interaction, this space, this energy right here and there. Are there times we should crash out? Sure, but it's not that often. We shouldn't be crashing out that often. Well, should I give it to you? Yes, there will be times where we need to crash out, and it shouldn't be often. Okay? It shouldn't be often. If you find yourself crashing out a lot, that means we need to get in there and figure out why we feel that we need that power in crashing out. Emotional power means that you can name what you feel, All right, you can name it. I feel upset. I feel frustrated. I feel backed up against the wall. I feel attacked, right? You understand why you feel that. Why do you feel attacked? Why do you feel really a lot of times if you ask somebody that's crashing out, why are you mad? Just stop them full stop. Why are you mad? And I'm not meaning people gaslighting people that have made the person mad and then they want to ask them why are you mad. I'm talking about when you hear people and you're trying to de-escalate. Why are you upset? Take it down a few notches, a few decimals, because I tell people all the time I don't really respond to people yelling at me. I will block you, I will delete you. I don't handle people cursing at me. I know people come from different backgrounds and we can learn to communicate like to adults and we don't have to talk at all. I'm perfectly okay with that, right? But we know how to conduct ourselves in offices, right? But when we're face to face with people, we just want to talk to them and mishandle them. I will not be mishandled. Right, will not be mishandled. I want to hear what you have to say, but you need to take it a few decimals down talking to me, and that right there has offended people. Because they're like, well, I come from this and we talk like, right, but we are talking right here and here, right? And so I want to hear what you have to say. I want to hear your position, but I can't really hear that if you're yelling and cursing at me. And if you have to curse at me, you don't need to talk to Nicole Michelle. That's just straight up. If you have to curse at me, we're done, right? I've already put you in a category of people that I never have to talk to again. I've already labeled you, put you in a category. That's what that is. All right. So I want to hear what you have to say. This is what I tell people. I want to hear what you have to say, but I can't hear it if you're yelling and cursing at me. I can't hear you if you're yelling. Please tell me why you're upset. Don't assume I know. I want you to tell me with your own words. A lot of times when you ask that, it takes them aback. And they have to pause because they're so in the moment. Their feelings are so to the point where in cultures in society we've trained people and conditioned them that when you're angry express it right then and there, right? And don't regulate it. It's all about your feelings. That is not how it's not really going to work and translate well in relationships. I can promise you that. Men hate confrontation. I'm talking about healthy men. Men that are unhealthy love confrontation because that allows them to run amok, right? And do all of the things that we hate. Shout out from Dayton, Ohio. Hey, Dallas Waxahachie. I've been to Waxahachie. Smyrna. Oh, that's my old stomping grounds. Smyrna, Georgia. So I get it. But I'm talking about healthy men don't like women who off the rails every time she's upset, right? Take it down a notch. And when you're in your feminine, right, you can, if someone asks you, why are you upset? You can explain it. I'm upset because X, Y, and Z. I'm upset because it's lunchtime. I have a very short window of time to get my food, eat it, and go back to work. And I get here, and this restaurant knows it's lunchtime, and yet they are understaffed. They're rude. My order isn't done, and I'm under a time crunch. That's why I'm upset. I'm frustrated. And once you do that, that kind of calms you down in right then and there, being able to say it out loud. A lot of times we keep what's upsetting us inside and that makes it worse. And saying that actually regulates our body a little bit more. Just discussing, just stating it out loud. I'm upset because the baby keeps crying and I haven't had any rest in almost 24 hours. I'm upset because he knows how important this is to me and he canceled. Just saying it out loud kind of regulates your body a little bit better. Communicate clearly when we're upset. Okay, proclivities comes out, ladies, and choose a response that matches your standards. My standards are high for myself. All right, I told you, ladies, my standards for myself are higher than my husband's. My husband is kind of laid back, and so he doesn't have a whole bunch of rules. That's what I love about traditional men. As long as you do them right, they don't really hound you like that. It's the other guys that make you work like a dog that have 99 rules. Um So my husband's kind of laid back. I love him. I try to do my best as a wife to make sure I match that. But my standards for myself are higher. So like certain things, he's not big. He's not really tripping on. I mean, he might kind of, look kind of crazy and roll his eyes at my wigs because he likes my hair. But other than that, he's kind of laid back. Shout out to my husband. Love him. Love him. Love him. Anyway, but my standards for myself are higher in terms of what I believe, how I conduct myself. He's really not that. You all have talked to him before, but in the past, he's kind of laid back. But my standards for myself are high, and that's because my parents raised me to conduct myself in certain ways. And then when I get in certain spaces, it's kind of laid back. It's kind of real casual, and I understand that, and so I kind of adjust a little bit. I try to adjust a little bit, but not too much because my standards are high. Because I have found, and ladies, those of you who have high standards and you want men to see you as high value, let me tell you a secret. When you get into casual spaces, and there everyone's casual. If you get too casual, it's a word my mom used to say. You let people get too familiar with you, then they start talking to you too casual, and it's hard to get them back up to the level of respect, standard level that you have set. So even when I get into casual settings, I've been in casual settings on TikTok, and it upset my nervous system. I had to get off. So I'm like, I cannot do this. I cannot do this. Oh my god! I've been in casual settings, well, in person and things like that. And I have to remove myself or just kind of stay quiet or just, because if I get too casual, I know how this goes. I know how this ends. Ladies, when you allow people to get too familiar with you, and so you kind of, I don't want to say sink to their level, but you kind of come down to their entry level or their level or whatever. You kind of get down to their level. It's hard to bring them back up to where you want your standards are. So we understand this in dating, right? If you date a man that is really not where you are socioeconomically or looks wise, whatever level you want to talk about, if you allow him in, right, it's hard to get him to see you at that other level, right? We understand that in dating. It's the same thing with interacting with people, right? And so what happens is once they cross that threshold of disrespect or whatever or cross our boundary, then we're ready to crash out. And now we're off our square, and now they don't respect us at the level that we want them to respect us. Does that make sense? So it's easier to just when you're in casual spaces, just hold the line, stay where you are. It's better as a high value woman. Let me tell you this: it's better to require people to attempt to come up to you than you go down to them. Let them be the ones cursing and crashing out. Let them be the ones getting off their square, ruining their brand, ruining their look, ruining their, you know what I mean? Let them do that, and you stay not stoic, but you stay regulated. Keep your standards. Let them try to match yours instead of you coming down to theirs, right? Emotional power is not numbness, it's not being unbothered, okay? It's self leadership. It's saying, my standards are high, right? It's a lot of things that I could probably do, but my standards are higher than that, right? So, what you're going to say to yourself is, my emotions are real, but they are not my ruler. And those of you that are in the scriptures, look up a scripture for me right quick. Let's do Bible study right quick. Those of you, get quick with it. You can use ChatGPT if you want. Look up a scripture about emotions being regulated. I'm challenging you all today. Emotional power is emotional regulation. It's also emotional literacy. And it's also relational repair. It's the ability to recognize what you feel accurately. How can you get a man to take ownership for something that for a way he made you feel if you can't communicate that? So now you're yelling and screaming at him, but you can't effectively tell him why you're upset. Now do you understand why he got his keys and drove off? Now do you understand why you never got the ring? Because every time you all are beefing, I say beefing, or you having a disagreement, it's going all the way over here where it shouldn't have been. You ladies have to learn how to de-escalate. And sometimes learning that It really means that it might mean us taking accountability. It might mean us shutting up. It might mean us leaving. But you know how far you can go before you just get off the rails. You know that. Shout out to Phineas. Thanks so much for the $5 super chat. He said, "People will put you on a pedestal. They do not that you don't ask to be on. You do not have a choice but to deal with that. Work with it." That's absolutely true. It's if you have presented yourself as a woman that carries herself a certain way, people will test that. People test me all the time. They say little slick comments. People have been doing that since I've been on YouTube forever. People say that all the time. Facebook, Instagram. People say what they're going to say, especially if you represent a certain standard. They're going to test that. You are not high value until you keep it and remain that way. Challenge them to come to your level. That's high value. Awesome. Look at Saravia. Come on, girl, with the scripture. She said Proverbs 16:32. He that is slow to anger is better than the mighty, and he that ruleth his spirit than he that taketh a city. Awesome. Thank you so much for that. Ladies, write that down for your next Bible study. Yes, Proverbs 16:32. Thank you, Miss Witt. Well, we're gonna challenge each other to find scriptures that back up what I'm saying, right? I don't want to just be talking to you all. I want you all actively, oh, let me look up a scripture. Also, I want you to know that everything I'm talking about is in the Bible because our three pillars is faith, family, and femininity. So our faith, right? We lead with our faith, not our feelings. Oh, I should put that on a shirt. Psalms 37:8. Refrain from anger and turn from wrath. Do not fret. It leads only to evil. Good job, good job, good job. So you understand what I'm saying. The Bible backs me up on this. Understand why it's showing up. Understand your triggers and the meaning of your triggers. This is why therapy is good. Because therapists are good for helping you identify your triggers. All right, that's what they're good for. If nothing else, they are good for helping you identify your triggers. Right? Regulate your body so you don't act from survival. Communicate needs cleanly. This is important when you're dealing with men. When you're all over the place, you're upset, you're crying, he can't really hear you, right? He's up because now he's upset. And men get in their head and they feel like I upset her, I'm wrong, or she's overly emotional, I can't hear her. So now they shut down. So now you have two people, you're talking at him, he's shutting down, he's over it. He feels attacked because he feels blamed. He doesn't know why because you can't communicate to him why you're upset. See why that escalates? Without attack or collapsing every time you can't communicate. And learning how to repair conflict. That's emotional power. That is not pushed in the culture. First of all, marriage is not pushed in the culture. That's number one. But men and women getting along and learning how to work through conflict is not pushed in American society. I'm just speaking for American society because that's what I know. I'm an expert on American society. They do not push us learning how to get along. You know what they push? Go to therapy. The therapist tells you it's all the man's fault, or you all get a divorce. That's what American society is all about. And then the divorce courts make money on the back end. See how that works? It's all a system. Without punishment or cruelty, that's repair conflict. That's part of your emotional power. Emotions are not weakness, they're data that you gather from everything that's happened, all the facts and the feelings and all of that, plus your energy. The problem is when trauma makes the data unreliable and the energy explosive. I'm going to explain that. Emotions are data. And let me explain. Emotions are. Give me a second. Let me give you some visuals. I promise you I had some really good visuals today. And everything happened that was in oh my goodness, when I tell you I had so many I had some really good B-roll ready for you all. But anyway, we're going to go on anyway. Emotions are your internal information system. They're signals that tell you something needs attention, like fear that tells us something feels unsafe or uncertain. Anger, that means a boundary has been crossed. I feel violated or disrespected. You'll hear people say, "You disrespecting me. You disrespecting me." They're angry. They feel a boundary has been crossed. Sadness. I'm experiencing loss, disappointment, or unmet needs. Joy means I'm cool with what's going on. This aligns with me. I'm feeling this, right? Disgust. This is not for me. I'm not dealing with this. Anxiety. I feel a threat, real or perceived, coming. A lot of it is people feel a threat coming. Emotions are like a dashboard light. They don't mean you're broken. They just means it's time for you to check something. And once we learn that it doesn't always mean it's negative, we can effectively experience our emotions in a healthy way. Hopefully this is helping the fellas too. Emotions also come with body activation, real physiological change, right? The next time you get upset, I want you to put your two fingers on your wrist and take your what you call that? Your oh my goodness. Why do I have mush brains today? Your pulse. Take your pulse. Faster heartbeat, tense jaw, shoulders. Your eyes bug out. Your nose is twitching. You have a tight chest. Urge to text, confront, withdraw, punish, cry, fix. That's where the long texts come from. The phone calls, the erratic yelling into the phone, and a voicemail. Yes, control, absolutely. Leaving him a long voicemail. I remember one guy. I got upset, and I wanted to talk. And I used to be one of those people. If I'm upset, I want to deal with it right then and there, and that's not always a good thing. And so I commenced to call and leave a long voicemail. Well, I didn't like talking. I'm sorry, texting. I felt like that was beneath me. He needs to hear my voice, my energy. He needs to hear my wrath. So I hung up and I um, called and called and called, and he wouldn't pick up. And so I left him a long voicemail message telling him the whys and the wherefores. Uh, horrible. I'm so glad I matured out of that. Don't be like me. That changes energy trying to move you into action. Ooh, calling a man back to back to back to back to back to back. Don't do that either. Don't do that. All right. Healthy emotional power. Don't be like Nicole. Healthy emotional power is I can feel the charge and still choose my response. The feeling may be automatic, but your response is actually a choice. So we're not little girls where we just, oh, I'm upset, so I'm not responsible for my behavior. You are, in fact, responsible for your behavior. We're queens. Queens, we are on top of it. We don't make excuses, we make moves. And women that men can marry and put over their kingdom understand how to regulate their emotions. One of the things I liked about Game of Thrones is that one of my least favorite characters, but I love watching her on screen, was Cersei Lannister from Game of Thrones. If you've ever seen the Game of Thrones, you know what I'm talking about. And one of the things that I admired about her, even though she was the least favorite character in the storyline, but I like watching her, is how she could regulate her emotions. It wasn't until the very, very end when she was close to death where she actually started to display fear and like she was defeated. Every time she always held other people together by her emotions. Now, she could have been upset, she could have been scared, but every instance she always regulated her emotions. Another thing I liked about Marjorie Tyrell, if you've ever watched Game of Thrones, you know what I'm talking about. Emotionally regulated. Right? Even when she was afraid, she emotionally regulated. Now, I'm not saying she suppressed her emotions because she did show her emotions, but it was in a way that was very, very regulated. She was in control. She could tell you, I understand. I'm thinking this through. You could tell that she was thinking it through in her mind, especially with Cersei. You could tell her little wheels in her brain were moving. For a more modern, let's see, um, Carrie Bradshaw for many, many years was just off the rails, off the chain. Not very regulated. And as the show went on and she matured, she started to regulate a little bit more. Thank you so much for liking, subscribing, and sharing. I appreciate that. Another good character that is emotionally off the rails a lot was, I don't know if you ladies watch Girlfriends, but Joan. She had trouble being emotionally regulated. The other characters, I didn't really learn that well, but Joan she was the main character. She had trouble regulating her emotions. And then sometimes she did, and then sometimes she didn't. She got better at it, but the first initial interactions or times that I saw her emotions were kind of like, going crazy, and she got better at it. I'm gonna put a one in the chat if you remember any of these shows. I'm kind of trying to use these instances where women are displaying their emotions in a healthy way. The problem is when trauma makes the data reliable. We we interpret the things that we see, we feel, we've experienced through past trauma, through past instances that hurt us. And so trauma can distort emotional data that we're getting now. And so what it does is it's kind of like this analogy, it scratches the lens and distorts the picture. So how trauma makes data unreliable? What we do is we become hyper vigilant. So what we do is we're looking for problems now. We're in his phone looking for him cheating. Cortisol, exactly. We are looking for him lying and cheating because all men cheat, right? We're looking for him to be um we are looking for him to be lying and cheating and unfair and not telling us the truth. We're looking for that. We're looking for a reason. We're looking for our triggers. Triggers. Today's moments activates yesterday's. When what happened today makes us remember psychologically what happened. That's a trigger. And so now everything that happens from this moment forward in this particular instance, we're looking at everything from that trigger. And it's not always true because it doesn't always apply to what's happening now. Are you following me, y'all? If you are, put a yes in the chat. Attachment wounds. This is like distance feels like abandonment. He didn't call me. He must be cheating. He must have another girl. And that means I'm not good enough. And that means I'm not worthy of love. And a downward spiral. So the next time you talk to him, you've been the judge, juror, and executioner. Now it's I'm going off on you because you ignored me. You didn't call me. You don't love me. Therefore, we must break up. See what happened there? I made my own conclusion. All because a guy 3 boyfriends ago didn't call us for 2 days, and we found out he had another girlfriend. So that must be true now because that's what happened then. Does that make sense? Right? If he's not talking to me the way I want him to talk to me, I must be getting rejected. Confirmation bias from pain. You interpret events to match the old story. He's busy becomes he doesn't want me. So because he's working late, he must be cheating. He must not want me. He's not making me priority. I've lost my pretty privilege. He doesn't love me. I'm not his dream girl. He doesn't want me. And down the spiral we go. Down the drain we go. Right? He hasn't texted back. Therefore, he must not love me. Healthy data says he hasn't texted. So let's observe what happens next. Let's observe consistency. Right? Trauma distorted data. I'm being left. I'm not enough. I need to secure this now. Let me go cheat on him because I know he's cheating on me, that sort of thing. Let me be disrespectful online because he's disrespectful to me, that sort of thing. We see that all the time with celebrities. It's stupid. What trauma doesn't do, it doesn't hurt, it doesn't just hurt you, but it also trains you to interpret everything through traumatic eyes, and it's not always applicable to what's happening now. Even if the emotion is valid, trauma, it can make your body's energy come out as an extreme survival response, crashing out, fighting, attacking, contempt, interrogation, control, harsh tones, snapping at people, all right, cursing at them, escalating the simplest things, the simplest interactions, right? Flight, cutting off, ghosting, avoidance. I'm fine. I don't care. I'm unbothered, right? Freeze. We shut down. We're silent, we disassociation, numbness, passive aggressive is a big one. And then we may fawn, where we're kind of like people pleasing, overgiving, apologizing for having needs, apologizing when it's not our fault, just so we could keep the peace, that sort of thing. So instead of emotions guiding you, your emotions drive you. That's where unregulated emotion turns into sabotage. It's going to sabotage your relationships, your peace of mind, your connections with people, men and women, and it's going to affect your outcomes that you have with them, your friendships, your colleagues, relationships with your colleagues, your networks. People don't want to be around women who lose their tops all the time. We're supposed to be pretty and regulated. Oh, I should put that on a shirt. Pretty and regulated, not pretty and off the rails. Little girls throw temper tantrums. That's what little girls do. Little girls throw temper tantrums because they feel that they are not being heard. But I want it my way. I want it like this. And she's standing up and down and she's pumping her fist. That's what little girls do. Queens go, you know what? Let me observe this. Why am I so upset that he's talking to his coworker right now? Why does that bother me? Am I afraid that he may leave me for her? Am I afraid that he's not into me? And why am I going that far down the road? I don't have enough data to accuse him of cheating, and yet that's where I'm going. So what's the biggest fear? The biggest fear is that he'll cheat on me. Well, what does that mean? That he doesn't love me anymore. And what does that mean? It's going to make me feel like I'm not enough. And what does that mean? That I'm not lovable. See how we can just kind of dissect that just real quick and dismantle that lie that Satan is kind of putting in our heads that we're not enough, because that's where this ends up, is that we're not enough. So we have this. What's that scripture? You all look that up for me, where we have to take those lies and take them captive before they start. That's what trauma does. It literally builds on things that happen, and then it feeds you lies. So because that happened in your past, so now this must be the scenario here. Men do this too. I hope the men are listening too. Men do this too because that happened there. This must be the situation here. And see how the enemy just builds on that lie and lie and lie. And instead of us saying, you know what, I don't have enough proof that that's what that is. So let me just, let me just wait this out, and yes, pulling from every strong field. And hey, Gloria, and so what we do is now we're going down the rabbit hole, and it always ends up, and you know it's the enemy because it always ends up, I'm not lovable, I'm not good enough. That's how you know it's the enemy, because that's where it ends. It always ends that way. And that's why people end up depressed, is because that's where they stay, at that bottom floor. I'm not good enough, I'm not lovable. They never get out of that. 2 Corinthians 10:5. Thank you so much. That's where it ends. And people stay there. They never come out of that. And all of it was a lie. Right? Right? So the goal isn't to stop being emotional, ladies. The goal is to clean up the data and stabilize the energy. So what clean data means is we're going to use discernment. We're going to use facts, things that we know to be true, know to be for certain, not assumptions. Women are good at assumptions. Have you ever seen a woman crash out over an assumption? I've seen men literally dissect a woman who's crashing out because she believes he's cheating. And all he did was, and you have proof where? Where's the proof? Clearly an innocent man is going to say, I'm innocent, I didn't do this. But a real good player, you know what he's going to do? Where's your proof? Because now it becomes, they should go to law school. Now it becomes, she's got to prove that I was there at the bar with the girl. See, he doesn't just say I wasn't at the bar with the woman, or I was at the bar but I wasn't talking to her. It's not what you think. This is what happened. Da 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 da. That's an innocent person. A guilty person is, where's your proof? Where's your proof? Okay, so now she has to go into, well, my friend, she was there and she saw you, and so that, okay, so your friend saw, you are going off what your friend supposedly saw. What if she missaw it? What if she didn't see what she thought she saw? Now you got to come back off that ledge because now you're exposed for crashing out with not 100% proof. You don't have the smoking gun. And so now what he's trying to prove to you is you thought you had a smoking gun, but you really don't. That's what a seasoned player will do. He will see if you have a smoking gun. Like if you walked into the bar and you saw it, it's kind of a smoking gun because you think you saw what you saw. So you're going to use that as a smoking gun, but he can still dissect that. Well, that's not a smoking gun. Did you hear me say I want to be with her? Did I break up with you? Did I cheat on you? Did I not come home on time? I mean, what's your smoke? A seasoned player is always going to look for a smoking gun. That's how he can get a woman to get back in pocket. Easy. What's your smoking gun? And he's not gonna say what's your smoking gun. He's gonna say, why do you feel that way? Who told you that? Where's the photos? Where's the video? Well, I don't have video. It's somebody told me. Well, who's the somebody? Is that a reliable source? Oh, that person's jealous of us anyway. She was making passes at me at the party. So now it moves from him being at the bar to this woman making passes at him at the bar. So now you have to go over here and prove that this is a smoking gun. It's really not. See? See? Clean data is using discernment. Has this man ever broken your heart? Has he ever lied to you? Is he consistent? Does he keep his word? Do you trust him? Those are facts. Okay? Stable energy is regulation. It calms the body first. That's stable energy. What you do when you work through your data is you're literally putting stable energy onto yourself. You're literally regulating your nervous system. You're not getting all bent out of shape until you have all the facts. Ladies of Future Wives Club, I just dropped a video in there about what to do with how to talk to your future husband about cheating. Certain things you say and certain things you don't say. I just dropped that video in there. Ladies, if you haven't seen it, oh baby. Oh baby, baby. And those of you that are wives in there too, you definitely need to see that. All right, emotional power is when your feelings inform you, but they don't command you. So your emotional power is working through what you saw, the facts, basically, the facts, and separating feelings over facts. Facts can change feelings, but feelings can't change facts. So even though you may feel some kind of way, your your clean data, your discernment is going to say, you know what? That's not a fact. That's not a fact that he doesn't love me. He does love me. He told me he loves me. His actions back that up. So let me not even go down that road, believing everybody on social media that tells you men are cheaters, they're all liars. And okay, that's your experience. But until my man does that, I don't know what you're talking about. That's your story. You speak from your experience, but I'm not going to speak that over my marriage. I'm not going to speak that over my relationship, my courtship. I'm not going to do that. Ladies got to start speaking with power. That's you, but you're not speaking that over my life. So let's talk about how successful women like yourselves can be emotionally unhealed. Like I was emotionally unhealed for a minute after my divorce. Really gaping wound, just hurt, just upset because my ego was like, this shouldn't be happening to me. This doesn't happen to me. Like, I should have this. This shouldn't have happened. I felt like a failure. My divorce, I felt like a failure. This shouldn't be happening to me. So I was just walking around hurt, and it kind of set me up to be used by people and mishandled me. It set me up to be mishandled in a lot of instances, right? Many successful women like ourselves have learned one thing extremely well, and that's functioning. Okay, you can perform under pressure, you can lead teams, honey, you can stay composed in public, you can run a business, okay, you can make money, right? You can move and shake. You know how to make things pop. But that same skill set can hide the fact that emotionally we're operating with unprocessed grief, betrayal wounds, abandonment fear, and we're hyper vigilant. We're constantly looking for the other shoe to drop, always scanning for danger or shame. This is a big one. If I'm not perfect, he's going to leave me. If I'm not perfect, or sexy enough or smart enough or make enough money, he's going to leave me. So you look fine, you look sexy, you look beautiful, but dating exposes the nervous system. This is why, ladies, a lot of coaches are going to have my head on a platter, or at least try to be upset. But I'm going to tell you right now, teaching from pain. It's got to be I'm sexy. It's got to be pretty privilege. It's got to be I'm this and that because they're living in shame. If I'm not perfect, if I'm not sexy enough, if I don't do this, if I don't make enough money, if I don't prove this, if I don't know that person, if I don't do this, then they're really exposing the nervous system. And I need you ladies to be regulated enough to know that the culture is going to constantly kind of open your wounds but not really heal them. They just kind of put a band-aid on them instead of sending you to the hospital and getting it fixed. So it's not you being broken, it's maybe a scrape that has been infected and turned into a gaping wound. So what happens is success that we have can mask that we're dysregulated. Our nervous system is dysregulated. And so we can be thriving on paper and still bleeding in love. All right. And it's not always our fault. It's just how we've been brought up to look at our emotions. It's been brought up. So when something happens, like let's say a late text or a tone shift or inconsistency, our brain does three things fast. It detects a threat. Okay. It assigns a meaning. This is where our mind comes in. What does this say about me? Remember last week we talked about mind power, and not to go down this rabbit hole of, okay, chooses a survival strategy. This is our behavior. Which one are we going to do? We're going to fight, or we're going to flight, or we're going to freeze, or we're going to fawn. What are we going to do? So what unhealed women, what's happening is we're not crazy. They're having protective reactions. We're protecting, subconsciously, we're protecting ourselves from being hurt. Hey, Ivana, what's going on? Common trauma based emotional patterns in dating is fight. We're going to criticize. We're going to control. We're going to be contemptuous. We're going to interrogate, ask them a million questions. We're going to raise our voice. We're going to act like we are a lawyer in court with our own man. Can you imagine talking to your man? So where were you? Well, that's not what you said 20 minutes ago. 20 minutes ago, you said X, Y, and Z. Can you imagine a man doing that to you? I couldn't stand that when I was a child. I definitely not going to stand that as an adult. So what I do is I give all the facts. Okay, do you have any questions for me? Because I don't like interrogations. I cannot say I didn't like it when I was younger. I hated that at school. I literally rebelled just because I didn't like that. I hated that. Don't ask me a bunch of questions back and forth trying to trip me up. I can't stand that. Criticism, like over criticism. So why did you do that? Why are you doing this? Why you do that? Ladies, fight the urge to criticize. Just fight it. Just fight it, fight it, fight it, fight it, fight it. Yes, he leaves the seat up on the toilet. Fellas, we have told you since the beginning of the inventions of toilets to let the toilet seat down. And there will be some man who will continuously do that. Ladies, fight the urge. But is that a make or break? Is that a deal breaker for you to be with the man because he let the toilet seat up, y'all? Especially if he's single, he's definitely gonna leave it up for sure. For sure. If he hasn't lived with women outside of his mama and sisters, and it's been a minute since he's cohabitated with women, he probably does leave it up. So what you gonna do? You gonna scream and holler every time he leaves it up? What you gonna do? Get one of those toilets where the toilet seat kind of slowly lowers down. It doesn't slam down. Get one of those. Spend a little money and get you a good toilet. That's how you do that. Work around it. Control. Stop trying to control your man. Just don't do it. Right? And a lot of women do this when they're dating. And then they wonder why he just dips. He faced the black. He doesn't come back. Like he was going to go get that ring that you talked about. He doesn't even want it. Don't even bring it up. It's not happening. Or, what flight it is ghosting, cutting it off fast, avoidance, I don't care, self-sabotage. What we say, I don't care. I don't care. I don't need marriage. Marriage ain't the be all to end all. But that's what we do when we're protecting ourselves. Or we'll freeze. We're shutting down. We're disassociating. We're numb. We're silent. Right? Passive aggressiveness. Or we're going to fawn. We're going to go into people pleasing. We're going to overgive. We're going to over-explain. We're going to be the cool girl. We can do a threesome. You don't have to sneak out. You don't have to lie. Let's do a threesome. Overgiving. Girl, please. He just needs to be a man and be faithful. How about that? That doesn't mean you have to keep giving. I was watching a Lifetime movie, of this woman. For no apparent reason, he just comes out of the clear blue. He want a threesome, child. So she's like, "Oh, you want one?" Come to find out, the girl that they did a threesome with, the husband and the girl side piece are having an affair, and they're plotting against the wife, who comes from money. Child, Lifetime. They're so deep and disturbed. Never watch them when you're depressed and mad at a man. Anyway, so they commence to trying to set her up to clean her bank account out, while because the woman is trying to overcompensate for her husband. All of this was her life. The wife's life was literally unraveling, and he was like, "Oh, baby, that's so bad. That was so horrible." And that's when I started to suspect him. He has to be involved because he is just way too cool. He is just way too cool for school. And all of these things are happening to his wife. And I'm like, this is all his fault. All of these things happening to her career, her business, all these things that's her fault. And I'm sorry, that's his fault. It's his fault all of these things are happening. Ladies, sometimes you just don't need to give anymore. He just needs to be a man and do what he's supposed to do. Period. And so you start over giving and trying to people please with him because no, that's a defense mechanism. That's you fawning. All right. So the big reason emotions steal your power, and this is when your nervous system leads. Okay, when it's out of whack and it starts leading you to crash out point. In trauma, the body is going to respond. It learns. In trauma, in traumatic situations, your body learns. Okay, this happened, so we want to protect the body from this never happen again. That's trauma. Uncertainty is danger. Okay, so your body reacts before your wisdom can speak. Okay, so this is what happens. Double texting. Remember, I called and left horrible messages? Yep. Crashing out, spiraling, emotional ultimatums, silent treatment, passive aggressive, slamming doors, not talking. These cryptic messages on social media. You see celebrities crashing out all the time. Testing men, rushing intimacy so you can feel secure. Um, so let's talk about why this happening. Why this is happening. You weren't too emotional. I don't want you to feel like you're wrong for being emotional. You weren't too emotional, you were just dysregulated. You were allowing your emotions to control your response. Okay? So let's talk about with what wife ready version of us using our emotional power. So as wives, future wives, right? Wives, future wives, we are using our emotional power when we feel deeply without becoming destructive. Okay, we can feel deeply. We can feel upset, angry, frustrated, neglected, abused, all of those things without being destructive. I remember years ago I said women have got to stop being destructive, and maybe my messaging was probably not maybe not thorough enough. But I'm revisiting that. We've got to stop being destructive and then making excuses for that. Okay? Queens don't tear up their own kingdoms unless you're Cersei Lannister. But queens, healthy queens, don't tear up their kingdoms. They build. They move people around. They build. What's not working for them, they remove it. They add things and subtract things very easily. They move things around. A woman that has great emotional uh, power, she can be disappointed without becoming disrespectful. This is huge for wives and those of you that are dating and those of you that will date because 2026 is your year. Ladies, you can be disappointed in a man without being disrespectful to him. In Future Wives Club, I teach you all how to fight fair. I teach you how to have a disagreement where he clearly sees your eyes bugging out, you're upset, your voice is raised, without alienating him, without making this World War III, right? Ladies, when you are dating a man and you are crashing out, calling him names, you can forget about a ring. I said what I said. Now, unless he's a CUCK, unless he's an Ahab that needs a Jezebel, no man is getting ready to sit around and listen to a woman berate him like that. He's unhealthy. And the women that raised him, maybe his mom did that, his sister, that's unhealthy too. That's unhealthy too. And he's used to that. That doesn't mean you need to be the one to do that. Because now now your nervous system is all out of whack. You can't have the soft life disciplining a grown man. How is that soft life? Warden of a prison? That's not soft life. Emotional power is means that you can be triggered without surrendering standards. Somebody can take a shot at you and you still have high standards. And so we've been taught in our culture that when somebody takes a shot at you, you go lower. Mhm. Right? Well, how does that work out usually? How does that work out? Especially if you're the face of your business, especially if you're the one running the business meeting, especially when you're the first lady of the church. Woo. Especially if your man is important and his wife is out here fist fighting with other people, going toe to toe verbal battles with people that don't matter. The lions are out here fighting with the sheep. How do you look? How do you represent your man? Huh? How does that work? You can't talk about being high value, and every time somebody says something you don't like, you go off into the abyss, yelling, cursing, proclivities, just ad hominem attack. I'm meeting them with the same energy. Well, how are you high value then? Because high value is high, not low. So it's like the culture teaches us to be hypocrites. I'm high value. I got pretty privilege. I'm high value. Men need to take me on expensive dates because I'm high value. Got it. I agree. So why every time somebody upsets you, you go low? Is that high value? I don't believe you. Prove it to me. You're high value, then act high value in situations that test you, that stretch you. You know how many times I've been attacked on social media? It is so easy to just block and delete. It's actually easier to just match their energy. It really is. It's a lot of stuff I could say because my mouth can get real slick. That's how I know Jesus is in my heart. I can get real slick and say really nasty things to people who say things to me because they say lies about me and I can really tell the truth about them. And I'm like, but what would that solve? The ladies that look at me as their mentor would go, look at Nicole over there. She acting all ratchet online and cursing people out and saying things. How can I trust what she says if every time she's upset she's going, because the culture encourages women to be off the rails. It doesn't, it tells us to be high value in name only, not in behavior. That's not queen behavior, that's little girl behavior. Okay. Emotional power says you need reassurance without chasing. You can get reassurance without chasing a man. Okay. And we'll be talking about feminine influence. We'll be talking about that real feminine influence. I have something that I'm going to introduce later. I think you ladies will enjoy it. Can confront without contempt. You can have a conversation with another woman, and this is why reality TV irritated me to no end, because it seemed like every time women disagreed with each other, it always had to go so left when it didn't have to. It didn't have to be. It seemed like the women on the reality shows, and this is why I hate talking about celebrities, because they're probably more broken than the people watching them. Just so you know, but They would just take regular conversations and just fight and throw water at each other's glasses, and just beefing for months over misunderstanding. Instead of just saying, you know what, we could fight and we could yell and scream at each other, but what good does that do? You know, we're beautiful. Your husband's a professional. My husband's a professional, or whatever. I'm a businesswoman. You're this and that. Let's agree to disagree, but let's handle it like ladies. We don't have to get into gangster stuff. Let's just handle it like ladies. We can agree to disagree. We can walk away. We don't have to curse at each other, turn each other's friends against each other. We don't have to do videos about each other. We don't have to take shots. We don't have to do that. We could, but we don't have to do that. What we can do is say, let's sit down, talk this through. If we can't come to some mutual agreement, then you know what? Let's agree to disagree. And that's okay. That's what queens do. Okay, emotional power is pausing without punishment. Hey, look, we could table this later and talk about this later without it being some type of World War III because we couldn't handle it right there. That's one of my challenges right there. If I'm upset, I want it dealt with right then and there. Well, that's not always the best policy, right? Sometimes you do need to sleep on it, right? Lord, calm me down. Let me pray on this. But, that whole let's solve it before we go to bed thing, me personally, that doesn't always work. Sometimes you do need to pray on it and go to sleep. Just pray on it, ask God for forgiveness and leadership, and wisdom on how to approach this the next time it comes up. Sometimes sitting up arguing, going back and forth, you end up going to bed angry anyway because nothing's solved. So that so that sometimes it is best to just, you know what, let's table this, let's talk about this later, let's go calm down, eat a snack, read a book, something to get us out of this headspace, and we'll revisit it later when we're both calm and we're rational and we're not, this isn't so high octane moment right now. Let's kind of take it back a little bit. Ladies, just because somebody is saying we can deal with this later doesn't mean that they're trying to brush you off. We've been conditioned to believe that if people don't give us what we want right then and there, they're saying no. And that's not always the case, right? So, what we want to do when we're talking about emotional literacy is most women say, I'm mad. Sometimes it means they're embarrassed, they're rejected, they're anxious, they feel unseen, they feel unsafe, or disappointed. So, when we are talking about emotional literacy, ladies, how we regulate our nervous system is acknowledging what emotion we're feeling. Okay, what's the real feeling under the feeling, right? The feeling, he didn't call. Okay, so how do we feel? We feel neglected. But why do we feel neglected? Because we feel disappointed. We feel like we're not priority. See how we just dissected that? We're getting to the nitty gritty. When we have these internal dialogues with each other, it makes us easy. It makes it easier for us to communicate what he did wrong to him so that he can see it. Because a lot of times, you didn't call me on time. Well, to a lot of guys, it's like, why do I have to call you exactly at the time? So now he's arguing the logistics and not really what you're upset about. What you're really upset about is that you don't feel priority. You feel like he brushed you off. That's really the root of he didn't call you on time. But what we communicated to him was, you didn't call me on time. See how that works? And his male brain is super linear. So he's thinking, she's upset that I didn't call her. I'm just using this as an example. She's upset that I didn't call her exactly at the time I said. So I called her 30 minutes later, and now this is World War III. That's what's going on in his brain. It's like, she's crazy. I can't live with this woman. She can't rationally think. She's upset about a 30-minute late call? You see how he's unraveling right that in his brain? He's like, is this what life like is going to be like with her? She's unraveling over 30-minute late phone call. Now, a future wife, well, you know what she's going to say? She's going to say, you called late and it threw me off because I'm used to hearing from you at this time. And so I felt a little bit disappointed. And, I started going down that rabbit hole. That's what I use a lot. I say, and I think I've trained my husband to believe when I say I'm going down a rabbit hole, those thoughts are not good. I've trained him to believe those thoughts are not good. You don't want Nicole going down a rabbit hole. Mentally, you don't want that. So what I say, I started to go down the rabbit hole. And so I'm just letting you know I was a little disappointed and it threw me off. And I was looking forward to speaking to you at that time. He can digest that better than you didn't call me at 5 like you said you were going to call. What were you doing? And why can't you see how that is shaped right there? I'm saying the same thing. I'm disappointed. I'm telling him it's not about the phone call, it's about the feeling that I got when I didn't get the phone call. Now, men don't have to agree with our feeling, but because we articulate it in a way that makes sense. See, it's got to make logical sense. Okay, I didn't call her at 5 o'clock, so I can understand her feeling. Now, I don't understand. I don't. He might not agree with it. He might feel like you tripping, but he's not gonna penalize you because you feel that way. And what we've been conditioned to believe in our culture is that by showing our emotions or telling him, I'm mad that you didn't call me at 5 o'clock. So we take that to mean he doesn't care about us because he's saying, why is it a big deal that I didn't call you at 5 o'clock? Because he literally is dealing with, he didn't call us at 5 o'clock. We in our mind are dealing with the fact that we're disappointed. We're hurt. We feel like he isn't treating us like priority. So, ladies, I'm saying, as future wives, as emotionally powerful women, go beneath the actual incident. He didn't call me at 5 o'clock. Go below that. Why are you really mad? Because I don't feel like priority. That's what you really feel. Men can deal with that better than he's going to deal with logic. Remember, he's going to look at it logically. So you said, I'm mad that you didn't call me at 5 o'clock. So he thinks you're beefing that he called you at 5:45 and not 5 o'clock. So he's going to take you literally. So she's tripping that I didn't call her at 5 o'clock. I'm human. I'm busy. I got carried away. I couldn't get to my phone at 5 o'clock. That's what he's dealing with. And so because he's so cavalier, he's like, it's no big deal. I didn't call you at 5 o'clock. I'm here now. What's the big deal? So now you're even more upset because he's so cavalier and so casually about it. And we don't take into account men are logical. So now we're upset. More upset now. Because we haven't dealt with the fact we really feel we're going down a rabbit hole. We went from I feel disappointed, and what's under the disappointment is I don't feel like he makes me priority. Now, this is just one incident, but now you've made it, I don't feel priority. And then further down the rabbit hole is he doesn't love me. And then even further down the rabbit hole is he's got another woman. You see how this slowly unravels? And then the more he's cavalier about it, the more you get upset. And then the more you get upset, the more he wants away from you. He's like, I don't understand this. And so now it starts escalating. So now his voice is raised. He's upset. He's like, oh my gosh, she's tripping. And if this happens too much, ladies, if this happens too much where we can't communicate what we're really upset about, and men are left scratching their heads going, what the freak just happened with this woman? If that happens too much, he can't give you a ring. He literally can't. He's looking at it like, in order for me to keep my sanity, I just got to keep her as a fun girl. I got to keep her as a girlfriend. I can't, promote her to future wife. This is insane. I got to deal with this every time she's upset. And then eventually it'll come out that you feel, because you don't really want to come out and say you feel neglected. No woman wants to say, I don't feel like priority with you. We don't like saying that. We like men to just get it. Like, we hate saying that. For some reason, we just hate saying that. But a lot of times, it's really about that. We don't feel priority. We don't feel like you take us seriously. We don't feel, you see, and the guy, our man, actually feels like we're arguing about him not calling us at 5 o'clock. right? He's literally arguing that, and we're arguing our feelings that we're not dealing with. See how that works? So now we're crashing out that he didn't call at 5. He's taking it as she's crashing out because I didn't call her at 5 o'clock. This woman's irrational. She wants me to spend the rest of her life, the rest of my life with her. I got to come home to this. Absolutely not. I will not, shall not. I'm gonna keep her on the roster a little bit longer till I find a better deal. And when I find a better deal, then you'll catch him cheating for real, for real. And because he doesn't want to be the bad guy, depending on what kind of guy you have, you're like, you're right. We probably should take a break. And then that will send you in orbit because now you're gonna piece together all these arguments to mean he was cheating on you the whole time. You see what I'm saying? Because now it's like, I cannot do this with this woman. Absolutely not. And in his mind, you start trouble, you start arguments, you're unregulated, you're not peaceful, you crazy. That's their go-to word. She's crazy. She's beautiful. She's hot. I love her. Sex is off the chain. She can make a mean souffle. I went to church because of her. All that stuff y'all do. Sleeping together in church. Y'all know how y'all do. And then he's like, man, I thought she was going to be the missus. But she's tripping all the time. Every time we tripping, we fighting. I tell you what, he will not buy a diamond ring for you. I'm telling you, ladies, all these men don't want commitment. I beg to differ. I strenuously beg to differ. Smart women know that men want commitment more than women do. Smart women know that. Smart women know men crave closeness with women. Now they'll say they love their freedom. They do. Men like to be free inside of a commitment. Men like to be free inside of a commitment. They like to have a woman that's not breathing down his neck, that allows him to be him, that gets him and all that kind of stuff. We'll talk about that later. But a man likes to be free inside of a commitment. He likes to be, I use the analogy, men like to be like cows on the range, they want to be like cows on a range without a fence, right? Men, you could put the cow out there and out to pasture and then put a fence around them. You could, but men like to be happy cows on a range with no fence. Now, to women that have been hurt, that is ultimately, that will never happen, Miss Nicole. I will never do that. Men need fences. No, they need rules. And you'll say, but that's the same thing. I guess no, it's not. Men know you have rules, and they're okay with rules. They don't like fences. They don't like you telling them what to do. They don't like you telling them when to come and go. It's like he want to be a man, but he doesn't want to feel like a child. He knows you're a queen, but he doesn't want to feel like your subject. He wants you to treat him like a king. So any woman that makes a man feel like a subject, a court jester, a pawn, all of these things that she just moves around and she controls, she'll never get a ring. I mean, by, a CUCK or an Ahab type of guy. Well, she'll never respect him anyway, so they'll be divorced. They'll be henpecked. But that's not healthy. A healthy man does not want to be a woman's subject. She wants to be his king, i.e., a cow with no fences. He wants to be in your pasture. He knows he's not supposed to wander off too far. Those are your rules. Those are your standards. Okay? But he doesn't want you putting a fence up. Well, Mr. Cole, can I have an invisible fence? No. It's called trust. Many women have to have the electric fence and they got to have the big white fence. They need that for their nervous system because they're not healed from trauma. I get it. I totally understand. Just understand that most men are not going to deal with that. Not long term. They'll deal with that. We just messing around. We just having fun. She's cute, but she's weird. She's cute, but she's clingy. She's cute, but she needy. Right? It's gonna be she cute, but she crazy. Yo, man, what happened to you and Janice? What happened to her? She was real cute, man. She was beautiful. Man, that girl crazy. What? What she do, man? Man, I don't even want to go through it. I'm so traumatized. Man, that woman's crazy. So now homeboy is like, oh man, I was gonna mess with her. He was like, beware and beware. All I'm saying is watch your back with that one. What? She was so fine. What happened to her? Man, she's crazy. Don't you see the trauma in my eyes, bro? She's crazy. That's how men talk about us behind our backs. Don't be her. Don't be her. Be the one. They go, man, what happened to you and Janice? What you mean what happened? That's my girl. Oh, for real? That's you? Yes. That's me. Man, I'm thinking about making her the missus. What? Not the player about to come out the game. You want to be that. Not, man, she's crazy. Oh my God. My male friends that I used to have conversations with, if you've ever been. Okay, how about now? I accidentally muted myself. Okay, can you hear me? Put a one in the chat really quick, because I need you to hear this part. Did you hear the part where I said about the cows? You all heard about the cows? Okay. So let's talk about how to regulate our bodies before our mouth. So I'm going to teach you a really quick 30-second regulation exercise you can do whenever you starting to get amped, you starting to get real kind of juiced up, feel yourself crashing out. Inhale for 4 seconds, hold for 2 seconds, exhale for 6 seconds. Then relax your jaw, drop your shoulders, and then put your hand on your chest and then say, I'm safe, I can respond now. Regulation is actually feminine power. A calm woman, remember this, a calm woman is hard to manipulate. The women that are constantly going off, cursing and doing the most, crashing out, those are the easiest women to manipulate. And you know who taught me that? Men. So instead of he hasn't texted, he doesn't love me, I'm not worthy of love, just say, you know what? And instead of saying that, I don't make decisions off of fear. I'm going to I'm going to observe the patterns. I'm going to see if this continues. I'm going to wait this out and get all my facts. So I'm going to give you some scripts that these are freestyling. You can paraphrase, but this is not for you to actually use, but just kind of work through this in your brain. When blank happens, I felt blank. I prefer blank, right? Ladies that are journaling, pause it and work through that when you are upset. Memorize this. Setting boundaries. That doesn't work for me. I'm available for blank. When you're trying to pause and get yourself together, I'm activated. I'm going to take a moment so I can speak respectfully. especially if you're in a high energy connection and both sides are kind of energetic. You want to say, look, hey, this is escalating. I'm going to take a moment so I can speak respectfully. Give me a second. Right? Let the person know that you're trying to regulate yourself. You don't want things to get out of control. Punishment looks like silent treatment to control. We do this a lot as women. We do the silent treatment. Sarcasm to wound. Withdrawing affection to teach him. I'm going to teach him. I'm not going to give him any sex. I'm talking about wives here. I'm not going to give him any sex because I'm mad. I'm going to teach him a lesson. Ladies, we try to make another man jealous. Uh, trying to make our man jealous with another man. That doesn't stop. Don't do that. And so we try to convince ourselves that we're in the right because we've tried and convicted them they're in the wrong. So what repair looks like is I was hurt. Here's what I need going forward from you. I was hurt that you didn't call me at 5 o'clock. I was hurt. I was hurt. It happened. I got hurt. That's how I interpret it. My feelings are my feelings. And it just is. So, but this is what I need from you going forward. I need you to make a conscientious effort to get as close to 5 o'clock as you possibly can. Okay. Marriage doesn't require a woman who never gets emotional. Marriage requires a woman who can self-lead when she's emotional. Ladies, you're going to get emotional. You're going to get upset. You're going to feel some type of way. That's completely normal. Is my reaction about this moment or about an old wound? Am I expressing a need or trying to regain control? If you've experienced trauma, betrayal, or abandonment, you may need deeper support to retrain your nervous system. And that's not shame, that's wisdom. So go ahead and sign up for our Feminine Elite Society newsletter and our Feminine Elite Society app. So if any of this is hitting you, I want you to be encouraged, not ashamed. Trauma can distort the signal and intensify the charge, but you can retrain your system. And so what I want you to do is start with the Feminine Elite Society app, and then you can use Naomi AI, which is available on the app for free, to practice what to say when you're triggered, right? You just need to practice so you don't spiral, crash out, shut down, or get sharp. You'll learn how to express needs with softness and standards. And if you want to identify the root, what keeps pulling you into the same type of man or the same emotional cycle, I have Blindspot the Bride for you. And we diagnose the one pattern that quietly is blocking marriage, and we correct it with precision. So, I want to talk to you about the Good Girl Method. It's been on one of those courses that I've had out for a minute, and I wanted to express to you, hold on, let me fix my audio. Okay. I wanted to express to you what it was, and we talked about the good girl, but I want to talk about the good time girl, and I want to talk about the fun girl that's at the top of this pyramid. Um, we talked about who the fun girl is. We know where she is in terms of the categories men place women in, but what are they? These are women that are operate in the dark market by definition, right off the bat, right off the bat. All of these things down here are considered fun girls. At the dark market area, all of those, if a woman is operating in the dark market, she's a fun girl by definition, not a wife. We know that, right? There's nothing new about that, right? But it also includes fast flings. It includes women that are overly sexual. It includes transactional flings. We talked about that. It includes women that are money driven. All right, rebound girls, situationships, side chicks. It's complicated girl. Okay, the jump offs, one night stands, mistresses, entanglements, friends with benefits. Now, this is not a beat up session. This is for women who find themselves in the fun girl category. That's not the be all to end all. That is not where your story ends if you don't want it to. This doesn't have to be your last and final destination, because I recognize that these were coping strategies to fill a void in your life. Maybe it was father, maybe it was abandonment issues, maybe it was heartbreak. Whatever the case may be, you used it to fill a void. And so, solutions here, we don't give solutions on this channel, we give transformation. Solutions are just band aids, and tactics and strategies are just band aids. Most social media advice, most advice you're going to get from the culture, 90% of it is band aids. It's band aids by nature. That's the kind of society we live in. It is band aids. It's not going to put you in a position to fix this, to self correct this in a way that's going to have you winning on the back end. Society is either going to tell you, embrace it, embrace all of this stuff that we told you. This is, embrace it, enjoy it. That's you. And they're going to tell you to wear it with your whole chest, and that's what they're going to tell you. And they're going to tell you how to cope, but they don't really help you on the back end with the unhappiness, the unfulfillment, the way you feel after relationship fails. They don't help you deal with that. They tell you to pretend like it doesn't hurt, cover up your emotions, be stoic, which is really telling you to be in your masculine, act unbothered. That's what the culture tells you to be, is embrace it, right? Sexual freedom for all, right? But they don't tell you freedom comes at a cost. Freedom isn't free. They don't tell you the emotional toll, the physical toll in a lot of cases. Your nervous system is out of whack because you feel unsafe. You're unsafe because occupational hazards. A lot of, and I'm talking to all women. It's not just women that may not go to church and things like that. I'm talking to the women that are in the church. A lot of women in the church have been through a lot before they got to the church. Sometimes they're still going through things in the church. So this is not just for people that live a certain life. No, this is very, very. There are people still in the church right now struggling with their sexuality, with their presentation, their identity. They're struggling with it. This is why they push back on modesty. They push back on behavior. The church is trying to teach, they're trying to cover up my sexuality, and they're abusing women. No, they're trying to protect you because they know what the streets are doing. Some churches did not explain exactly what they were doing, why they covered you with a sheet, Jabal Bryant. They didn't explain that, but that's what your mom and dad was for, to explain to you why they're doing the things that they're doing, not to suppress your sexuality, not to make you feel bad that you filled out, not to, it's not to make you feel ashamed of being a woman. They didn't explain that. Some churches did not have the bandwidth, and in many cases, they just didn't understand the assignment of helping women develop into women that they needed to be. They did not have that. The women didn't even have that bandwidth. Let's just be 100. The women there didn't have the bandwidth, and what they did was they beat up on the younger women, the younger attractive women. Those women grew up to rebel against the church, not God. And then some women rebelled against God as if it was his fault. No, you need God. Some of them people you don't need, but you need God. So I'm never going to turn away from Jesus because it's some knuckleheads on the earth that don't know how to act. I will never turn away from my Savior because it's some people that don't know how to handle me or handle the word or handle leadership, right? I get that. That's where we are right now. And so I get a lot of women were taught rebel, rebel, rebel. Rebel, that's the way to go. Don't listen to church. Don't listen to those women. They're just trying to repress you. They're just trying to keep you from being who you really are. But who are you really? Have you owned that? You haven't really figured out. And so what they tell you is the church is trying to take your identity. But then when you go out in the streets, they're giving you an identity. They're telling you to be free. They're telling you to get out here and do it. You think as in girls group think. We all think alike. They're telling you to have an identity. They're telling you to have the identity they want you to have. You can't come out here with those morals and values, not around us. We all have to be in a sinking ship. You can't be out here trying to be on the sinking ship trying to get off. We're all on this ship together, going down together. How dare you think that there's a way out? See? And so you left the church, who you thought was giving you an identity, and then you go out in the streets and figure out, wait, they're giving me an identity too. The only problem with it is the identity in the streets that tells you you're free, you can do whatever you want, nobody can tell you anything, your body, your choice. The problem with that is, once you go down the rabbit hole, they have no redemption for you. There's no redemption. There's no get your life together and live better. What? Once a drug addict, always a drug addict. Once a hoe, always a hoe. Huh? Once a single mother, you're done. What? You're going to die with cats? Cats and dogs? That's what the world tells you. That's what the streets tell you. There's no redemption for a woman that, you know, made some mistakes when she was younger. There's no redemption for you. That's the streets. It's the church. No, let me be specific. It's God who tells you you can be redeemed. Now you have to, it's rules and regulations, but yeah, you can be redeemed. And the life over here is like, I'm going to take that burden off of you. No, it's a yoke, but my yoke is easy and my burden is light. Versus out there in the streets, oh, your burden is heavy and your yoke is heavy. I've seen some young women looking like they're 30s and 40s years old because of the stress. They're not built for economic stress. They're not built for all of the other things that they're going to be experiencing, honey. 30s and 40s are an eye opener. And the world does not prepare you for that. It just tells you you're a woman and you can do whatever you want. They don't tell you, they don't explain to you that marriage was always a safe container for women. They always highlight the absolute, the color purple worst relationships they could possibly highlight to make you look at marriage as not safe. When the reality of it is, a healthy marriage is actually a safe container for a woman. She's isolated. Nobody is more comforted right now than a married woman whose husband is handling business. Right now, she's looking at the world going, whew, good God, I'm so glad my husband is making provisions for me right now. Now, I'm not saying put all your hopes and dreams in a man. I'm telling you to look at marriage objectively. I'm telling you to look at being a good woman in a different light. The streets want you to believe that being a good woman is just being a doormat, having men walk all over you and abuse you. And I raise the flag that it's not. It's actually the opposite. But when you're in the streets and everybody's dirty and grimy, they want everybody to be dirty and grimy. How dare you come out here talking about marriage and talking about being a wife and talking about having a family? That's not what we do. Sexual freedom. Take that bra off and let everybody see everything. Bend over, girl. Take that picture and post that on IG. Let everybody see your nip nips because that's what we do. Everybody's out here doing everything. How dare you come over here talking about being a wife and a mother? We don't want to talk about that. And now that you're dirty like us, how dare you talk about you want to do something different? How dare you say you want to have a family? You can't have a family. You a hoe. Hey, look at your body count, girl. You'll never be. See, that's all that is street talk. All that street talk. Once you're dirty like us, always and forever, that's whatever you will ever be. The streets is always trying to dox your past and tell you how dirty you were. Remember when we had that orgy in college, girl? You ain't nothing. You ain't gonna never be nothing. What you up here talking about? You gonna be a businesswoman. Who you talking about? You gonna be a business? Who's gonna believe you? That's a lie. That's a lie. That's a lie. That's a lie that they want you to believe, honey. And so bringing up your past is to keep you there with them, because how dare you come out of the mud, clean yourself off, and go back to the other side. Whose side are you on? So the streets, they'll say, we would just want solutions. No, solutions is tactics and strategies and finesse points and manipulations and games. Over here, we do transformation. I believe that women want to be transformed. I believe that they've been looking for a way to be transformed without getting beat up. Okay? We don't do the beat up session. We don't need to do that. The world beats you up enough. They encourage you to do all of these crazy things and then they turn on you. Notice they push Cardi B to do the absolute worst things out here and then they talk about her when she do it. You notice that? They push Nicki Minaj, Meg Thee Stallion, all of them. Glorilla can't get it right. If she twerking, they mad. If she rap, they mad. If she's vulgar, they mad. If she sing a gospel song, they mad. She cannot get it right. That's what they do in the streets. They'll say, oh, the church is judgmental. People are judgmental. The point with the church is you gotta drown out the naysayers and the people talking because they're human. You gotta listen above. That's what we do on this side, is we have to drown out the people with opinions and things like that and have a direct conversation with the Father, not the people. People will always have opinions. Either side is on. Except on this side, we do have redemption. Jesus said, just accept me. I'll clean all that stuff up. I don't care. Look at the woman they were stoning. The Jesus, I wish I could do the videos. Have y'all seen the Christian videos where they kind of use AI to make the Christian? And I wish I could do a video about Jesus and the woman that they were stoning. Jesus was like, yo, what are y'all doing with this woman? Jesus, she a hoe. The manosphere and the red pill was in the Bible, y'all. And the church people that talk about people, they were in the Bible. Jesus was like, yo, what y'all doing to this woman? And they were like, Jesus, you don't see this hoe? She out here, she giving it up to everybody. She slept with old girl's husband. Jesus was like, word? Yeah, Jesus, she a hoe. She got too many bodies on her. She making us all look bad. Now, mind you, these are the same men that are sleeping with her. Nothing's new under the sun. This is in the Bible, y'all. Real quick, somebody find the scripture. Somebody doesn't believe me. It's in the New Testament. Go find it for me and type it in the chat. Jesus was like, word? She slept with her husband? Word? For real? The manosphere and the red pill, they was Jesus. Lord, how you pandering, man? Look, she a hoe. Look at all them bodies she got, man. Jesus was like, word? She did that? Did she get drunk too? Yeah, Jesus. Man, look, she a hoe. Man, she ain't gonna do nothing. She gonna get cats. She gonna be a cat mama and she gonna die alone. Huh? Jesus like, word? For real? She a hoe? So Jesus said, well, I hear you, but let me ask you a question. All you brothers out here that are perfect, come forward. I want you to cast the first stone. That's what Jesus said. Jesus said, John, the scriptures, John 8, 1 through 8. Thank you, Veronica. Jesus said, word up. For real? She a hoe? Check this out. Everybody up here that's innocent, you never done anything wrong, you perfect, I want you to come up here and cast the first stone. They was like, man, Jesus a panderer. Jesus a simp. He over here simping for this hoe. Jesus like, no, for real. If you're perfect, I'm telling you, I'm not saying I stone her. I'm just saying only the perfect people can stone her. So come on up, get your stones, those that are perfect. And we see what happened in the scripture, right? So even Jesus took it. Look at Mary Magdalene. They were dogging her. Y'all find the scripture of Mary Magdalene real quick. Y'all don't believe me. This is all in the Bible. They were talking bad about Mary Magdalene. They said, oh, she a hoe. She this and she that. Jesus was like, y'all back up, ease up, player, ease up. Jesus was like, ease up. Right? The woman that washed Jesus' feet with her hair. They were talking about her too. Oh, she nasty. Look at her. Jesus was like, ease up. Calm down, player. Calm down. Jesus don't beat up on people. People beat up on people. Jesus was like, I'll wipe your slate clean. I'm standing at the door knocking. You hear me knocking, but you ignore me though. And once you open the door and let me in, hey, I wipe the slate clean. But if you listen to the streets tell you you're going to be a cat mama, you're going to die alone. You're going to, once a hoe, always a hoe. Once a fun girl, always a fun girl. That's what the streets tell you. That's it. And I'm here to tell you that's not true. That's not even biblical. Jesus was always representing the downtrodden. He was always representing the underdogs. Somebody even said Jesus loved a hoe. He did. He was always defending women that the culture had put aside. What kind of savior is that? That's a savior that loves you. You don't even know you got love out there. The streets are telling you ain't nothing. You ain't gonna never be nothing. You ain't nothing. And Jesus was like, nah, play her back up. I want all the men that are perfect to cast the first stone. And all those manosphere men in the Bible had to put their stones down. Go read it for yourself. You know, this is in the Bible. This is new. I'm telling you, we're about transformation over here. Internal change. That's what we do. This is an identity level problem. We can't solve it by telling you to put on a certain dress, wear a certain lipstick, go to a certain party, and say this. We can, and I do. I do that in the app. I do all of that. I tell you what to wear. I tell you where to go. I tell you all that's on the app. However, this is where the hard work is. Because once you get in the room, the Good Samaritan, yeah, once you get into the room with successful men, you have to know what you don't get in there and drop the ball. You go in there with that surface stuff and lose him. Luke 8 for Mary Magdalene. Thank you. For those of you who don't believe me, you want some Bible study stuff, you want to believe, look, Jesus got a bad rap out here. You think Jesus is judging you? This is quite the opposite. Jesus loved the hoes. Jesus loved the bad girls. He loved the church girlies who slip up from time to time. He loved the drug dealers. He loved the old ladies. He loved the young ladies. He loved the old men and he loved the young men. He loved us all. See, the streets want to tell us that we don't have any redemption. That's a lie. There's a scripture in, I want to say Acts, where I want to say Acts 7, somewhere in there, 7 or 8, where the lady, and I didn't pull all these scriptures because this is a tangent. I'm just doing, this is in my heart to come out. In Acts 7 or 8, there's a scene where there's a woman who, again, men are dogging, throwing stones at this woman again. The manosphere and the red pillar in the Bible. Yes, they are. Y'all don't believe me? Go read it. It's in Acts 7. Y'all look this up, where the woman is going down the street and the men are, she's chained up and they're throwing stones at her, saying, you are, I think she was in the witchcraft, something she was doing. And the men were just, oh, she's a hoe. She's out here doing witchcraft. She's, stoner. And they didn't want her to get free. They didn't want her to get free. They wanted her to stay chained. Ladies, the moral of the story is there are men that they love you being dysfunctional. They love you being promiscuous. They love you being dirty. They love you being depressed. They love you being down. They love you being downtrodden. They love you being not knowing what your true power is. They love that. They love you feeling lost. They love you believing that you cannot be redeemed. They love you believing that, oh, I'll never get married, so it doesn't matter. Screw all that relationship stuff. Screw all that. I don't need to prepare because I'm never going to get married. They love you thinking like that. Because then when you go out on a date with them, you feel desperate. You're like, oh, great, a man is paying me attention. And then all of a sudden, all of your resolve and your discernment is out the window because what you really desire is coming forward instead of just dealing with it. They love that. They love that. They love telling a woman she's going to be a cat mama and she's going to die alone. It's really projection because a lot of men are going to die alone. It's real projection. It's not just men that are going to die alone. It's women that's going to die. Men are going to die alone. You don't know how many men start dating the Walmart greeters because they're looking for a place to stay because their whole youth they were diddy bopping from one woman to the next and they never built anything with one. And so they start getting old. They can't work all the long hours they used to work when they were young. The money's not coming in because they didn't build anything. And guess what they end up doing? Going and living with the overweight single mother that they dogged all these years. You don't see it? I see it all the time. And so they want to convince you young, pretty women that you're going to die alone. But that's a lie from the pits of hell. You will not die alone. Not over here, anyway. There'll be a lot of women in the bottom 60. A lot of women will be in the bottom 60. And they'll proudly be there. They're like, I don't want to be married again. I don't want to be married at all. And that's cool. Not talking to them at all. I'm not beating them up in no way, shape, or form. I'm talking to the 30% right here. You want marriage, but you need preparation. You want marriage and you're afraid that you're in the bottom 60. You're not in the bottom 60 until you say, I don't want to prepare. I don't want to clean up and transform. We all had to transform, girl. Some of us had the party girl vibes. If that was you, okay, it's cool. The link to the Good Time Girl Rehab is at the top. If you already have the Good Girl Method, it's new modules in there. You can watch it today. You can go through it today, right now. No, we'll wait till after the live. But if you have the Good Girl Method already, it's already there. If you're in the Future Wives Club, you already have access to the Good Girl Method. It's already there. But I added this new track, the Good Time Girl Rehab, because some women need that. We all had to go through some version of cleaning up. All of us did. Some women had to go different levels, but all of us had to go, you know what? We have to wash the culture off of us. We have to wash feminism off of us. We have to wash rebellion off of us because none of that gives us what we want. Not none of it. Not none of it. Well, feminists get married too. I want to talk to those husbands married to feminists. Don't tell me what feminists do. Tell me where her husband is, and let me have a conversation with him. The five that you find. Let me have a conversation with him, and I want to know: is he happy? And did he know his wife was a feminist when he married her? And if I was a betting woman, I would put money on the answer is no and no. But I digress. I want women to get what they want. And the culture says women can do whatever they want and still get a husband. We all know that's a lie. We can look at men are not even going out on dates right now. Women are going as far as arguing that they can't go out on dates. Men are taking them to coffee dates because the men are telling you, look, we're closing our wallets. We're not taking you out on dates. And I'm not windmilling for men. I'm telling you, I told you this years ago. Men are smarter than you give them credit for. They're tired of it. They're tired of it. They're tired of it. They're tired of it. They're tired of the rebellion, the finessing, the lies. They're tired of it. Now, those of you that are not doing it, you're glad to see it because you're like, well, I was never doing that anyway. Good to see it crumble. But for those that are in it, and you don't know any other way but to be in it, I'm telling you that's not the way. The men that will do right by you don't want to be treated that way. And they will recognize that in you and they will not marry you. The culture tells you do whatever you want. It's all men's fault. Well, that only works if men still do what you want after after you do all of that. And we know that's not true. Put a 1 in the chat if you hear me. You still with me? We don't validate harmful patterns over here. We don't offer shortcuts and tricks well, we give you strategy, but we do transformation with strategy. Awareness is the first solution. So we're not beating up on women, but we must call it as we see it. The direction that women are going now, it's failing. It's okay to say it's failing. I'm okay to say it's failing. I was one of the first people to say it's failing. One of the first people in the black community anyway. Because girl, you're not supposed to call out any of this. You're not supposed to call out the dark market. You're not supposed to call out the sexual market. You're supposed to act like it's not there. That's impossible. We can't. Dating is monetized. You have women out here talking about, I won't talk to a man unless he sends me $500. Now, none of you are doing that, of course. But the fact of the matter is that it's there. And we've reached a very low point to where men are now saying, I'll just pay for feminine companionship. What? Now, those are not godly men, obviously. And those are not men that want marriage, obviously. But some men are like, well, maybe I'm never going to get married. So let me just, whatever. That's where we are in society right now. Are you all happy with that? Because I remember a day not too long ago. Well, yeah, it was a long time ago. Back in the 90s where men were like, oh, hey, pretty girl, can I get your number? Call you sometime? Sure. You sure can. Here's my number. He calls you like he said he was going to call you. You have a conversation. He asks you out. He comes to pick you up. He takes you out. to dinner and he pays and you have and you develop a relationship. It was literally that simple. Now, it was a couple of boo-boos in there, of course. Sometimes it doesn't make it to a date. Sometimes you find out he's a weirdo. But it was just that simple. A man saw a woman. She didn't have a whole bunch of makeup on, a whole bunch of wigs on. She was beautiful. She was shapely. She was kind. She was smiling. And then he asked for her number. She said yes. We didn't have a bunch of cell phones. It was a house phone. It was a dorm phone and it was a landline and he called and we talked on the phone. Wasn't any text messages and writing notes. It was a phone call. He called you, you picked up, you spoke to him, we had a conversation. He asked you out, you went out. We didn't even have coffee shops back then, big by and large. Maybe in the big cities, maybe in New York and LA, but regular cities around here, we didn't have a bunch of coffee shops. And it wasn't until the late 90s or early 2000s that we had internet cafes. We had those before we had a bunch of coffee shops. It wasn't until Starbucks became popular that coffee shops really kind of blew up. Maybe in the big cities, but in the regular mid-sized cities, please. We barely had internet cafes. And maybe near college campuses, we had donut shops that we hung out at. I remember during finals week, we hung out at the donut shops to study. We did that, but just coffee shops? Not really. When did you really start seeing coffee shops? It was like the 2000s. You didn't see that back in the 90s. So we weren't fussing about coffee shops. We had never coffee shop. What's that? Wait a minute, people actually go out and only get coffee? Maybe at diners, maybe at bars, but not, just going out with a guy and he only buys you coffee? That was unheard of in the 90s. In the 90s, a guy could pick you up, take you out, and a date could consist of three different destinations back in the 90s. He could take you, yeah, we went to Waffle Houses, yeah. But back in the 90s, a guy could take you, he could pick you up, you all go to dinner, go to an event, and then go somewhere else after that. You could literally go to three different destinations on a date. Easy. But now, guys are saying no more, no more. Okay, so it's like pulling teeth to get your attention. It's pulling teeth to ask for your number, and then 80% of us are going to get rejected, so we're not going to ask you for your number. Then if we did get the number, then you might not even pick up. You might ignore me. That's if we meet in person. If we met online, if you don't like my pictures, then you leave me on unread in your DMs. If you reach out to me, it's after you're bored and you've gone through all the other guys, then you'll respond to my messages. And then when you respond to my messages, then you'll act like you're interested. So then if I finally get an audience with you, why would I take my chances and take you out to dinner? I could just take you out for coffee and see where your head is at. Maybe I misjudged you, and by taking you to the coffee shop, I can see if I misjudged you. And as usual, you're mad about the coffee shop. And so I was right about you. I'm glad I didn't spend more money on you and more time on you because you really don't like me. Glad to know you. Peace out. That's where men are right now. Because what women are realizing is that most of the dating market was the 80% of men that were rejected, that are now rejected. Back in the 90s, the only way you didn't have a girl is if you were one of those guys who wore dirty t-shirts all the time and your hair wasn't combed and you didn't know how to talk. And back then it wasn't video games. It was like comic books. You just were weird. You didn't know how to talk to girls. And you had the kick me sign on the back here. That's the only way you did not have a girl. Even the fat guys had girls in the 90s. Hello? Gerald Levert, Heavy D, Biggie Smalls, like Fat Joe, big boys was in the 90s. Everybody had a woman in the 90s. Ugly dudes had women in the 90s. Man, I don't want to start naming ugly celebrities, but you all can put ugly celebrities in the chat. Go ahead. Ugly rappers had girlfriends and wives in the 90s. What are we talking about? I can name two off the bat in New York. Ugly as the bottom of my shoe. Kept a woman. Hello? Yes, him too, girl. Always, and he had a whole harem with his ugly rump. I'm telling you, the 90s was different. This is a new day. Yes, him too. May he rest in peace. Yes, on dates, we dressed up. We wore hosiery on dates. We wore heels. Somebody said, Biggie, no, I'm sorry, I wouldn't have done it. But he had a woman. Apparently, he had several women. Man, ugly dudes, big dudes. You had to be really weird, like, no, no, serial killer weird to not get a woman in the 90s. I mean, Ted Bundy had women, for God's sakes. In the 70s, he was weird as weird comes. He had women. Come on. Men could get on. But now, I don't know if it's social media. I don't know what it is. But 80% of the men are rejected. And so now the men are saying, look, I'm not even doing dating. I'm not going to the clubs. I'm not buying drinks. And they're never saying they're not getting married. I mean, men want marriage, but they want a woman that understands the assignment. That's what this space is about. That's what this space is about. Women, we are our own worst enemies. We get online and we complain about everything men do. And so men are just human. They're like, oh, so they don't appreciate a dinner at the Cheesecake Factory? No problem. I won't take her anywhere. I'll just take her to a coffee shop. Oh, she wants a $200 dinner? Okay. So it's not about getting to know me. It's about the dollar amount of the date. It's we have gotten so women can be our own worst enemy. Now, I'm not saying there's some boo-boos out there with guys that are just out there not doing right. Not saying that. You know, I absolutely keep my stiletto on their necks. But I'm talking about the men that we largely ignore. And I'm saying my space is a hospital, not a clinic. I'm not saying you're broken or that you need healing. I'm saying our clinics are like symptoms management, and that's not what we do here. This work we do over here goes deeper than just tips and tricks and scripts. If you want an outcome that requires your best, that's what we do over here. Hospitals get you back up to 100%. You come out a new person. We get down to the root cause of why we're not talking. We get down to the root cause of why women want to be good time girls or ended up good time girls or don't know how they ended up the fun girl. We're going to get to the root of the problem and fix it. We're going to get down. We're not going to put a band-aid on it. We're not going to put some Robitussin in there. Let that Robitussin get on there. We're not going to do that. No, no. We're going to heal that. We're going to transform. And women that want to be transformed are going to see the value in it. So if you're looking for entertainment, this isn't the place. This isn't we're not doing that. This is a place for women who are ready for deep work. And they're going to feel relieved by that. There's no judgment. There's no shame. There's no beratement. You should feel relieved. This is your spot. But women who aren't ready for that, they're going to feel exposed. They're going to get an attitude. They're going to be defensive. They're going to be mad. And that's, you're not ready for the next level. Women that are ready for the assignment, women that are ready for marriage, or at least ready for preparation for marriage. They're going to click that link at the top. They're going to get either one. They're going to get the Blindspot the Bride, which is about identifying your areas that's keeping you single. That's keeping you from marriage. Because we all, when I was single and I thought I knew what was keeping me, I thought I knew why my relationships were ending. I would think, oh yeah, this is the one. Yeah, I know this is it. This is going too well. And then the relationship would just fall apart and I had no idea why. I needed somebody to sit down and diagnose it. I had no idea. So I'm over here fixing something else when it was really this. So I created a system, the blind spot diagnosis method, that literally helps you identify exactly why your relationships are breaking down and not leading to marriage. It's something I wish I had back then, but I made it so super simple and so affordable that you can get it and finish it quick. And by the time you finish it, you'll know. If you do the work, you'll know. If you do the activities in it, you'll know. If you follow the blind spot diagnosis method, you'll know. By the end of that program, you're going to know exactly what you need to work on. Now you're ready for the next step, right? It's not going to overwhelm you. It's not super expensive. It's not something that you have to make this huge investment. No, but it is an investment. You need to say, you know what? This is 2026. I'm dating this, but this is saying I need to fix this, and I'm not going to let people define my future. I'm going to walk in victory, because God says if I want to be a wife, I can be a wife. So I need to take the necessary steps towards that. So let me get the blind spot the bride. Once you get to blind spot the bride, you're going to get a notification of an invitation to Future Wives Club. I'm gatekeeping that because everybody's not ready for the content I'm putting in there. And I'm not saying that to sound different. I'm saying it because it's a little bit down the rabbit hole. Okay, just like we broke down, the pretty boys and stuff like that. It's a lot to them. We had to break those. And a lot of women let these dudes just run amok in their lives because he's attractive. No, we had to dissect his mindset, and we did that, but on a different level. And so, it's other things that we talk about in there. How to talk to our husbands, things that we share, how we share them, what's going on. It's a lot of stuff in there. So you'll see an invitation for Future Wives Club. But for the women who are at the very, 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 very beginning, and I'm not just talking about certain type of women, I'm talking about you could be in the church and still be struggling with this. Struggling with your identity. The good time girl, you're the fun girl. You're the girl that the relationship never gets serious. He never makes you a girlfriend. He never moves the needle with you. If that's you, if you think that's you, if you're tired of, I'm gonna show you what good time girl rehab, what we tackle in there, just so you know exactly what we're talking about. Hang on, I'm gonna show you something really quick. Um, but if that sounds like you when you're just tired of that life, this isn't about judgment at all. But it is about saying, you know what, pump the brakes. I need something different. I'm tired of the lies that the culture is pumping into me, but I'm not getting what I want. I'm going to give you the good girl blueprint, what men actually notice in the first 30 seconds, right? You're getting all the good girl material I have, but you're going to get the good time girl rehab track. Is what men actually notice in the first 30 seconds, and how to shift your energy from fun girl to forever without changing your personality or becoming a Stepford wife. I'm not training you to be robots. I'm not training you to be yes girls. I'm not training you to be a doormat. But once he looks at you in the first 30 seconds, he knows he has to step to you correctly. Oh, yeah. The look that commands legacy. This is where the work comes in, baby. You fighting to dress any kind of way, look any kind of way, and then you wonder why your relationships aren't going too far. I'm going to break down why we do that and why it's so effective. The style, beauty, grooming, and posture. Society tells you do whatever and a man's supposed to like you. No, the more successful he is and all of these things, they try to tell you, oh yes, in the dark market, sure, he's going to accept anything because, hey, we're just having fun. But in real life, when you talk about attaching his legacy to you, there's certain things he needs you to understand. So we're going to talk about style, beauty, grooming, and posture, decoded through the lens of power femininity. This isn't about trends, it's about timeless attraction. Most women dress for attraction. They dress to be sexy. They dress to be seen. We dissect that, right? We focus on timeless attraction. They could pull up a picture from you of 20 years from now and they're going to go, wow, she was stunning. Just like they'll say today. People remember women that pushed them, that challenged them. They talk about women who kind of, got She gave him a rise. She made him laugh. Yeah, those are funny women, sure. But the culture tells you people forget women that are not rebellious. Oh yeah, they remember you. They remember you as a problem. They remember you as loud, destructive. I wish women could hear me and talk about women when there's no cameras. For YouTube, that's all a show. I'm talking about just hear men just talk about women when they think nobody's listening. If you heard that, you would know I'm telling the truth. That the culture's lying to women, telling them all of this baddie girl, this pretty girl, and all this, tons of makeup and all that. They're telling you this is the way to a man's heart. And I'm telling you, a lot of that is just unfulfilled. It's just a lot of lies they're feeding you, and it doesn't give you what you want. And the reason I know that is the numbers are backing me up. The numbers. Look at the marriage rate. Look at all the women upset. The very women telling you to live this life are upset, complaining about men. They'll swear to you they love men, but there's no man around them to be found. None. And the men around, they're not married. I'm not trying to be mean and dismissive. I'm telling you that the culture is lying to you. I want you to think old money elegance meets modern softness. I'm going to show you how to merge the two so that you have timeless attraction. So you don't have to be half naked to get a man to see you as valuable. I told you, it only takes a man 30 seconds to decide which category he's going to put you in. And most women end up in FUD girl. Easy. I'm going to talk about the respect effect. This one, I really put my foot in. I did. I like it. How to be admired by quality men, envied by women, and protected by the community. Woo. Rewire your body language, your tone, your eye contact to radiate wife energy in seconds. Why do you think some women can enter a room and other women shift their energy? Because she's in the room. Women kind of fake this and they try to perform that they have this type of respect and they demand this type of respect, and so they try to manufacture it by focusing on their beauty, focusing on their clothes. No, baby, this has nothing to do with your clothes. This is all your aura. This is something that you had to develop and cultivate in yourself. When you walk into a room, remember when I talked about the standard being high? When you walk into a room, people can feel that standard. When you lower your standard, they got you. When you hold that standard, that's when women whisper about you, get jealous, they envy you because they can't hold that standard that you hold. That can't be faked. I'm going to show you how to get it. You can't get it by being half naked. I'm so sorry. You can't. There are some women that are just so beautiful and captivating, and they have a very a charismatic personality, the Marilyn Monroes of the world, the Ava Gardners of the world, the what's another one, Eartha Kitt. Those women, they were charismatic, and so people thought that they had a respect effect, that when they walked into a room, people just respected them just because. And if we know the history of Marilyn Monroe, yeah, no, that's just what in women's fantasies. She did not have the respect effect. She had charisma, she had beauty, and she had charisma, but she did not have the respect effect. Diane Carroll had the respect effect. When she walked into a room, I'll tell you another person. Debbie Allen. I couldn't remember her name. She has the respect effect. Just when she speaks, even her sister Felicia Rashad, she has the respect effect. She doesn't have to prove herself. She doesn't have to be half naked. Let me choose a younger woman that has it. Ooh, that's kind of hard. Oh, let me think of one. Who has the respect effect? I'm trying to think. Ladies, you have any names that you think has the respect effect? I'm trying to think of some younger women that have it. Angela Bassett has the respect effect. I'm trying to think of some younger women under 30 that might have it. Even under 40. I'll go up to 40. Anybody under 40 that a celebrity that just has the respect effect. I'm trying to think. I'm still thinking. I'm still thinking. I'm still thinking. I'm still thinking. I believe Meghan Markle has it. Um she's attacked so much in the media, but she has it. She got that thing about her. You know, I love me some Meghan Markle. She has that thing about her. But I'm trying to think of a couple of more that they had that respect effect about them. Uh, I want to say Jennifer Hudson. Iffy, cause I don't. Mm, I would say she does. I would say Jennifer does. Um, I'm trying to think of a couple more. I want to say, what's her name? Legally Blonde. What's her name? Reese. It has a respect effect. You know where I'm going with that. Respect effect. You just respect her. Well, she opens her mouth and you just respect it. You're just like, yeah. Like, yeah. I think Jennifer has it. I think, yeah. Well, now that I think about it, yeah. I think she does. Um, it's a couple of more, but it's not that many. It's not that many. And the culture doesn't understand it. What we try to do with women is we try to manufacture this. We try to replicate this. This can't be replicated. Yara, do I know her? She must be super young. Um, I know uh Sarah Jessica Parker. Yep, I would say her too. That's a good one. Yara, who is Yara? Y'all, she might be young. She might be somebody I've seen and I don't know who she is. Is she a social media person? Okay, she came right up. Okay, she's young. She's super young. She's an actress. Okay. I don't know her, so I can't say. But you said Yara. Okay. Um, it's a couple of others that they had it years ago, but they don't have it anymore. I won't say that here. They had it years ago, but they don't have it now. She's from Black. Oh, okay. Blackish. Okay. Yeah, it's a couple of others that, as they've gotten older, um, just the way they're moving. No, they don't have it. They might have had it when they were younger, but now they don't. It's quite a few women that had it when they were younger, or at least they had the facade. At least from the outside looking in, they looked like they had that respect thing about them. Like they walk in a room and everybody wants to be like them. They had respect. They set the standard. And they don't have it now. Yeah, I agree with you on that one. She definitely used to have it for sure. Let's talk about words that win respect. This is a big one. Inside the Good Time Girl Rehab, I'm going to teach you the language patterns, some shifts and phrases that subconsciously signal wife to high-powered men. I'm going to tell you phrases that women say that absolutely turn men off. Not only that, but I'm including the Future Wives Club glossary in that too, because I'm going to give you some more phrases. I'm going to tell you that most things that women say out here, and I know coaches are going to get upset with me when I say this, but a lot of things they tell you all to say is literally turning men off. It's like it's not working. It's not. Um, um, it's men listen and they watch, and that's all I'm gonna say about that. And you can be beautiful and still turn men off. Now, I'm just going to leave it right there. The rest of it is inside. And how to shut down situationship energy before it even starts. There are times where that first 30 seconds, I'm going to show you how to control that 30 seconds so that he doesn't look at you like a situationship. You're going to control the narrative. Understand how men assess, categorize, and decide. You'll stop sabotaging good connections by saying all of the right things with all the wrong energy. Ladies, I know a lot of coaches will be upset with me, but some of the things they tell you, it's actually good. It's not bad, but men pick up on that energy that's behind it. If you're saying it out of malice, if you're saying it to manipulate, if you're saying it to get him to do something, men know they're not dumb. They're humans. They pick up on the wrong energy. And you're saying it and with wrong energy, and kills it. Kills the vibe. Put her in the fun girls section. Discover what men spiritually and subconsciously detect about women before she even speaks. Disarm the party girl vibe. We are going to disarm that and why it lingers even when you're done with that life. There are some women right now, I won't name any names, and I feel for them. They still have that party girl vibe stench all over them at their big age. Still do. I hate to see it. I see it in celebrities all the time. It's still they won't be able to shake that too easily because they haven't gone through the transformation. And you can rename it, you can dress up differently, you can call it something different. It doesn't matter. If your heart hasn't been changed, men pick up on that, especially the men that you're trying to attract. They pick up on that, especially if you're fighting for some of the you know, the mindset of a rebellious woman, the mindset and because and I understand it, you're trying to express yourself, if you're holding on to that, they see that as party girl vibe. They see that as a woman I don't need to take seriously. Put her back. I'll have fun with her, but put her back. And why this lingers even when you're done with the life, even when you walk away from it, it's still a stench attached to it. And you can rename yourself, you can change your this is why a lot of people on social media, it's not working for them. That's why a lot of trauma dumping spots around social media, they blow up. In life, they blow up because they still have this stench and they don't know why. I'm done with that life. I'm different. Why don't men believe me? I'm going to tell you why. And I'm going to show you how to fix it. Heal the subtle self-sabotage that came from believing softness made you stupid. This is where the courtesan leaves and the queen arrives. I'm going to teach you that courtesan is beneath you. A real woman, I shouldn't say real, but a healed woman, a healthy woman, a wife is a queen, not a courtesan. That's beneath you. You don't need to be that. And the good girl codes, the unwritten rules our grandmothers knew without speaking. And how to move like a woman who is loved, protected, and elevated even before it happens. And how to never again be confused for the girl he calls at 2 a.m. but won't bring a dinner. Mm, 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 mm. Never be confused with the girl he wants to lay up with the girl he wants to marry. Never ever. And I tell you like this, that is not a good feeling. Let's fix that. Let's fix that. Let's go forward. Let's not be angry. In 2026, look, it's a bunch of good men out there. Go get you one. Let me help you. Get the good girl method, the good time girl rehab is included in the good girl method. So those of you that already have the good girl method, you do not need to repurchase it. It's already in the program. Just go in there, click on it, enjoy. But for those of you who do not have the good girl method, click the link at the top and get it. That price will not last long. We're not doing we're going to get married in 6 months and stuff like that. No, we're going to root this stuff out. It's a lot of stuff we need to root out because, baby, getting married in 6 months and we haven't healed the heart is just a transactional relationship. Which, I mean, if that's what y'all want, I can do that. That's easy. But that's not good marriages. It's not built on a solid foundation. A solid foundation marriage is two people that are healed. They don't have to be 100% healed, but healed enough that they know how to get along with each other. That's a marriage that can work. That's what we build over here. Shout out to Raya with her beautiful baby. Oh, she's so cute, y'all. Oh, she is just a doll baby. That's what we produce over here, marriages that can actually last. And so a lot of messaging in the culture, yeah, sure, it'll get you in a fast marriage, but not a solid one. And here we get into the root cause of why you have to masturbate several times a day. Why you need sex from a guy that you know doesn't love you. Why you rationalize bad behavior because you want to be a girl's girl. Why you can't stand up for what you really need. Why did you dump that guy you really like because your girlfriends didn't think he was cute, or they didn't like him, so you dumped him because you were afraid of what they would say if you said that was your man. Why did you do that? Still looking for validation and approval from women who are unhappy. They're not even happy themselves. We got to get to the bottom of that, because you know what? In marriage, if you haven't dealt with it as a single woman, baby, it's going to come up in marriage. And if you are not prepared for it, you will ruin your life and his. You will be living a real life HELL. Let's get to the bottom of it. Let's get to the bottom of it, ladies. I love you all. Thanks for watching today. Please like, share, and subscribe. Make sure you download the Feminine Elite Society app that's available on Apple and Google. And if you're watching for the very first time and you're brand new and you're not scared and you're like, oh, wait, this might be for me, go to mrsnicolemichelle.com and sign up for our newsletter. You'll hear from me, and get the book. Available on Amazon and Google. For those, on Amazon. For those of you that are not sure if you want to be a full-time wife that works from home, or a full-time housewife. Let me just say it, full-time housewife, or if you want to be in a dual income earning household. You're not sure, you don't know what it looks like, you don't know what being a housewife really entails, you're not really sure. Get the book, take the quiz. By the end of the book, your answers to the quiz should be different, because we're going to spell it out for you. You're going to hold your hand through the whole process. This is something I wish I had. I'm like many other women. There was only one way to be a wife, and that was a working wife. Except that wasn't for me. It just wasn't for me. If you're like most of us, Generation Xers and millennials, we were raised, grow up, go to college, get married. That was the plan. And you don't deviate from that. Anything else is deviation. You're on your own. But that's really the track. You grow up, you graduate from high school, you go to college. Then after college, you get a job. And then somewhere in there, you get married and you have a family. That's what we were taught. Not many of us were taught, hey, you might want to stay at home with your children. And I didn't really see a whole lot of that until I got into corporate America. And I saw Becky leave work, and I saw Amanda leave work, and I saw Susie leave work. Susie, you leaving? Yeah, girl. I just had my baby, and I'm going to leave. I'm going to go home. I'm going to say, huh? There's more than one way to skin a cat? Really? And I wanted more young women to experience that. I know I did. And I didn't realize how happy I was until I went back to work. And it was downhill from there. I don't want you all to go through things that I know is possible. That I don't want you to go through the heartbreak that I went through. If I can help some women out there. And shout out to the women that have come through my program. I don't think any of them work. I think they're all retired once they got work. And the women that are still working, the last bride I have, she says she's going to work until she has her first baby. So if you want to be a traditional housewife, this is the spot. I don't know of too many other spots. This is it. Somebody that actually knows the life. I'm not teaching from fantasy. I'm teaching from real. I'm teaching from the real. This is where it's at. Thanks so much for watching. Make sure you share, and subscribe. Follow me on IG. Sometimes I'll pop up over there in my stories. Make sure you follow me on Facebook. I have like 3 pages. Pick one, follow me, and let's get you to the marriage zone. Remember, I love you and Jesus Christ loves you. And until the next time, keep the faith, everybody. Peace.